Welcome back to Wesley the Writer. I'm Wesley, and today is Friday. Thank you so much again for following along with the conversation. We're almost finished with it, but thank you so much for everything that you're doing as far as subscribing and liking and commenting. We continue our conversation with Pastor Paul Ratliff of Ministry in Christ Church. If you have any suggestions or would like to say anything about what's being presented, please do so. But without further stalling, let's get back into the conversation. Now, you touched on that. A lot of people have a negative mindset when it comes to that part, healing, and there are other trains of thought where people will say that okay, so we can say that God can come in and God can heal, but saying healing is not indicative to practical medicine. Mm-hmm. But then, of course, the believer would say there's no limit on what God can do. Mm-hmm. And so the conflict between the doctor and the believer is that the doctor has focused his years on healing the body. The doctor claims to know everything that there is about the body. And I say doctor in general, broad term, covering all the doctors. But, that's what the doctor would say is, okay, you can hope and you can pray. You can, some people even get the crystals and they say that, they chant the angel, presence and all that other stuff. But when it comes to the body, when it comes to the physical, they say that the only way that you can be healed in that sense, say from a coma, say from any, disease or any cancer, right? That has to be managed through modern medicine. What do you say to that, to the criticisms that the church gets when it comes to, like when you hear someone say that, okay, how can a God, how can your God change or do this when we see what the problem is? What would you say to somebody?
I say this: man believes in science. God deals with spirit. Mm-hmm. And before man became who he was, man was flesh, elements. So they go by natural substance. And yes, God would allow in certain instances for things to happen the natural way. But there's some things beyond the natural that natural medicine healing just won't work. It needs something supernatural, which is God. So God goes in and taps the deeper part of the sickness, which is spiritual, which is the demon. Now, there are natural things that happen that doctors say you can't be delivered. But when it gets to the root of everything, some things is just taking medicine. Something is by possession. And this is the difference between giving people miracles. Because when a person have a tumor in them, that's a spirit that's trying to kill you. And that need to be delivered. And then you have some medicines that for a common cold, that's different. But when you have something life-threatening, you need a God that knows that body more than a doctor. This is more so different from dealing with that person because God knows how to test that spirit. What's causing it? And inside diagnosis. And sometimes man get used to because they method work. But God said, yes, I understand that. But now, watch this. Your method work because I allow it. But I'm going to show you beyond what you can do because you're not God. So God knows that body better than anybody. So therefore, God knows how to diagnose it really carefully. And most time what people are really going through is mostly demonic. And that is the big difference between when you're dealing with stuff. That God separate that. It's the science of man. They believe in their sign, their gift, and their study it. This is what they said, the statistic. That's what they said, the statistics said. But what do God say? He said, I should live and not die. Who you going to believe? And then I said, Isaiah, who report you would believe? Are you going to believe the doctor or are you going to believe God? He said, I already obey God than man.
Would you agree that a lot of the malignant issues that we face when it comes to things like cancer or, diabetes, things, serious illnesses like that, would you say that they're self-inflicted based off of our lack of adherence to what God said in the beginning, or any doctrine that we might not have been focused on when it came to how God dictated how we should live our lives?
Say that again.
Well, I guess I'm gonna try to rephrase that. So when people say that they're afflicted or they come and they need to be healed, would you say that healing that's required, or rather I should say the illness that's in them, is due to the lifestyle that they've been living before they got to the healing?
Yeah, I think that there's instructions. So, for instance, God gave us a manual instruction how to take care of our body. We can abuse our body. And then what happened is that once we start abusing our body and get introduced to something, you become addicted, you become hooked. This is when the demons take over. A demon gets you hooked, intoxicated. Because now they go in deeper, because now they have a gateway to get in. And what happens is when they get the gateway, they're just not trying to make you sick, they're trying to kill you. And they're trying to possess you. So this is why we have to be careful over our body. And then number one, the main point, your body don't belongs to you. So you have to answer for how you take care of something that don't belong to you. Everything belongs to God. So because of that reason, God allowed you to have a way out. If you repent, he'll back his own body. But now, if you don't repent or do it God's way, he'll allow you to go through that, and now you answer for it. So it's the penalty for that. So I think once people understand that where the body belongs to in the whole grand scheme of things, and by you, somebody warning and telling me, if you keep doing this is going to happen. If you keep on not educating yourself, you're not going to get farther in life. You're going to continue to be a token advantage. If you don't get proper rest, your body going to break down. If you keep eating sugar, it's going to cause diabetes and it's going to cause you to die. Or you keep taking chances on things and not being responsible, it's going to catch at you. So everything has a consequence behind it. And some are positive and negative. But now you have to realize some things come upon you. The Bible said it best. The wrath of God come upon the children of disobedience. So by that being said, this is what's happening. Because your child is disobedient, so there's repercussions. So God is saying to us, when our body tells him, when we go through, our body saying, yeah, you're paying because you was told not to do it. You was told not to go past that. Your body was not made for these different chemicals, these different entities. Because remember, everything we take is made by man.
Right.
And by man getting their hands in it. These men never say they're believers. They're just regular man trying to gain stuff. So you know all the stuff that man puts in. So you need a God. You need to follow and pay attention to protect the temple, to protect God. Because now, watch this, you become a spiritual zombie. You under an influence by the things that you take in. You can get influenced by a soda. You can get influenced by candy. You can be influenced by money. You can be influenced by a woman. You can be influenced by a drug. Everything becomes an influence, and then that becomes your God. And the main whole scheme of everything that's taking place is who you serve. This is where the problem comes at. God said, there's no other God before me.
Right.
And he means that. So he don't want you worshiping no graven image. He don't want you worshiping another God. He said he's the God. He's a jealous God. So because of that reason, this is why things happen. And I think if we really pay attention and really focus on what God is saying to us and pay attention, we'll find ourselves doing better. It feels good to be obedient. It feels good to do the right thing. It feels good to lay in your bed not worrying about somebody looking for you because you was out there doing things you shouldn't do. You can come home in peace and say, I've done the right thing. It feels good that you're responsible and you're doing what is right and you're prospering. Then to now worry about, now you got to have all those tubes in you because you didn't listen. It feels good that you follow order when you can lay down, eat the things you eat, and do it in moderation and not have to worry about feeling sick.
Right.
And then have to worry about being in the hands of a doctor that playing like you like a guinea pig, doing experiments on you because you have their mercy. Because guess what? You're so frantic, you're so scared, you'll do anything. So God is trying to stop us before we become a zombie or a guinea pig or a slave to something that we have no business getting involved.
Okay, everyone, really quick. If there's something that you're looking to share, if you have a business or you're looking to get people to hear about an event coming up or anything that pertains to advertising your thing, feel free to get with me. I have space on my platform and I'm willing to share it. You can contact me on X at the writer Wesley, or you can send me a message on Facebook. Thank you so much, and let's get back into the discussion. It's funny that you mentioned zombie because one of the books that I'm writing in the series South in this, deals with that. It deals with that thought process. I just thought it was interesting that you had said that. I was like, when I start thinking about like the books and stuff, right? I get really like I turn into a complete dork. I have to say because I'm like, oh man, you said the thing. But no, I get it because when we're not focused and we put ourselves in position to be to be controlled, basically in that way, then it opens up the door for demonic possession, demonic thought. And that thought process is a chain. It's a chain reaction. It might be something as you're thinking that it's just something simple as, oh, well, it's just this one time. It's just this one thing. And then it constantly, gradually gets worse and worse. And then you're just like, okay, now I'm looking at myself. I was, fit. I was able-bodied. I was able to go out and do, but now I'm not. And now that I'm not, well, now that you wouldn't be, and then that opens up the door for other things to come and overtake you. And then, you have to find your way back to the altar and pray. Right. And that mindset gets changed. Exactly. And then get back to healing and getting back ready. Right. I think that, again, people look for instantaneous fix. And God does operate on his time. Right. And if we're adhering to what God says, we're taking care of ourselves. And if we find ourselves in a position to where things happen, it's not to say that God's not there. It's just to say that, okay, this is the season for this. And if we had our minds oriented on what God was saying in our life already, then we'd be prepared for that time anyway. I'm thinking about a lot of the times where I was in a situation where I felt like I wasn't ready for something to happen, but then I realized I have all the support around me. I have the church. I have, the men and women of God who are there, and I'm not alone. Right. Exactly. And I think that, whenever we find ourselves in a situation where we think that, okay, chaos has entered, the world is flipping upside down. We can look around and see the power of God standing right there with us. Definitely.
And that's the mystery of God, and that's what. And the whole thing is, how do I discover God? How do I know God? And what is His true purpose? And I think that every man yearn for that, but some people are afraid to go to that level. And I think this trust calls us to not trust in God because of people, and to have us to have a black eye. This person done that, but I realize that if I take my eyes and really focus off man, really focus on what's controlling the man, and actually see what I'm actually really into, I'm gonna look past that and actually hear and really search and really find out if this is really real. And God will lead you to real people. So I don't want people to hold God hostage to say, well, God, you allow this, and how can it be this, and how can this be what it is? And I see people messing up. Well, we're human. We're not perfect in a sense. But there are real people that live the life where is that you can say, wow, how do you do this? And this is the maturity in people. And I think that God is trying to get us back to really being about it and making sure you're ready. Be mature before you open your mouth. Be mature before you really broadcast and do His ministry. And that's why God allowed them to take years. Like Moses, he was like 80 some years before he really got into his ministry.
Right.
You see, and them older people, look how when he called Abraham, mature people. So God is trying to get us in a spiritual maturity, not a physical maturity, but spiritual maturity in this latter time. And so I think that once people realize what the gospel does, it is to bring people out of bondage, to set people free, to give you joy, to give you hope, and to give you an alternative that you don't have to stay this way anymore. And on top of that, it's going to give you life beyond this life. And that is something that is unexplainable. And then that joy that we talk about, that peace, that excitement, that you can't put a price on it, that you can't explain in this sense, is an overwhelming joy that's so contagious. And you feel so good when God really is a part of your life. When you really get an encounter with God, it's the best feeling in the world. Because you're like, whoa, it's life. It feels good. It makes you just be in awe. And that's what we're chasing for. Something is beyond that. So that is what I would tell anybody that's really trying to come with these theories. I'll tell people, get away from theories. Deal with facts. I'll tell people, stop listening and really hear. In the sense of, don't listen to all the friction, but look for reality, look for truth, you'll find truth. And I think whatever your objective is and your motive is where it's going to lead you at. And I believe that with my heart. So if you're really seeking God, it's going to show. If you really want to figure God out, it's going to show. And you'll find it. But if you're trying to pretend, God's going to lead you back and lead you in your mess. But if you really mean him the most and you really mean God all the way, He's going to allow you to find him. Because, again, we talked about last time, the two different wills. God knows who's going to do his will and those that's going to not do his will. And so, and that is why, out of everything, he's a God of predestination. He's a God of foreknowing. And he's omnipresent. He's omnipotent. And these are all the things that make him who he is. All seeing, all knowing at all times. So, God is not intimidated. He already knows our future. Job said, you know the way that I take. You know, Job said that. So where can I go? David said it best. If I make my bed in hell, thou art with me. So the reality is, where can you run and hide if God is really with you? And that's why the Bible says best, if God be for, who could be against us? So this is what it comes down to. Your core is, what are you chasing? Do you really believe it? Do you really want it? And do you want better? Do you want to live again? And do you want to stop being suppressed or stop being enslaved or being vulnerable to something that's overtaking you? Or you want to have the freedom and power to resist and to be in a place to be used, to be living, and to have the being and have the freedom? You know, and that's what it comes down to. And that's what God offers us. He offers us that in our lives.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the podcast. Be sure to check the description so that you can click on any links shared in this episode. Also, be sure to leave a message and comment about anything you feel you would like to comment on. I check the comments constantly, so I'll be looking forward to hearing from you. See you in the next episode.